Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Today I want to do a little talk about the spawning phase and whether or not it is affected by the moon cycles. You know, I'm heading to I'm just starting to get some rods rigged up for the Harris Chain of Lakes, the first Bassmaster Southern Open, and it's going to have spawning fish. There is a good warming trend that's been taking place for a while now, and we've got a full moon coming this weekend. So, you know, I'm starting to read some articles, and people are making posts that, you know, are all about the spawn is going to be taking place, and it's going to be a big spawning tournament. And it just has me thinking, you know, I've gone back and forth on this quite a bit. There are definitely times I feel like the spawn is dictated by moon cycles, but I don't think it's like the number one factor. I really think what matters most is the amount of daylight, and then what the water temps are, and what the the weather conditions are. If you have good stable weather without, you know, barometric pressure changes, and the water temp is stable or increasing, I think that will dictate the fish to spawn more than a moon cycle. And I think it has a lot to do with where you're at in the country. You know, down in Florida, where the fish start spawning in like the end of the year, so November, December, all the way up through like, you know, March, April, and potentially up into May, you're talking about a 6-month period when that fish has the choice to come in to spawn. And you know, they're not necessarily just going to come in because it's a full moon. I do think that there is some sort of gravitational pull that, you know, makes the fish think about spawning, but it really comes down to whether those conditions are right. You know, we're coming off of a tournament on Lake Okeechobee where I feel like the majority of the fish that I caught were probably spawning fish. And we were right in the middle of a moon cycle. I mean, we were coming off, well, we were a week off of a new moon, working up to a full moon, you know, and we were right in the middle of the phase, and there was definitely a wave of fish that moved up in the middle of that moon phase. So, you know, I think more than anything, what mattered most in that case was the fact that we had extremely stable conditions of, you know, low 80-degree temperature, which warmed that water up to the point that brought the fish in. And with the daylight increasing by several minutes a day right now, it just makes sense that those fish are wanting to spawn. Especially when you look back over the previous several weeks, there was a pretty good cool period, which, you know, the fish probably didn't want to spawn. So when they got the first opportunity to spawn after a 3 or 4 week period, they jumped on it. Did that have anything to do with the moon phase? Not at Okeechobee. So, you know, will it have something to do with the Harris chain? I think there's potentially some extra fish that are going to be moved up because we're going to have a full moon, you know, right in the beginning of the official practice period. But, you know, when I look up here in Wisconsin, I don't think the full moon has anything to do with it. I mean, we've got like 1 month of spawning activity. I mean, you'll have a few stragglers that go early and a few stragglers that go late. But for the most part, like all of the spawning activity will take place in May. I don't think it has anything to do with the moon. It has pretty much everything to do with the fact that we've got ice up into April, and then, you know, it takes a couple weeks to get that water to warm up, but it usually warms up relatively quickly because we need to have 50+ degree temperature, air temperature to get rid of the ice. And at that point, you know, it only takes a few more weeks to get our water from, you know, freezing temperatures up into the low 60s. And at that point, the fish flood the banks, start their spawning cycle, and really almost all of the spawning takes place in the month of May. They don't wait for the moon phase during May up here. Now, do they do it more down in Florida? Sure, they might do it, you know, wait for the moon phases but it's not that big of a deal up here. So, you know, I think it's personally, I think it's something that's a little bit overhyped. I do think that there's other factors in fishing that the moon comes into play more so than, you know, just around the spawn. And I'll get into those at another time. But I'd be curious to hear what you guys have to say. Do you feel the same way? Do you think that the moon is overhyped? Or do you think that it is a huge factor in determining when a fish spawns? And if that's the case, I'd love to hear what the reasoning is. You know, I've read a lot of articles into this subject, and you know, we don't have any true scientific evidence that suggests that the fish have a reason to come in and spawn around the moon cycle. So guys, share that with me. If you've got a source or you've got just some personal experience that you'd like to share, leave a comment with respect to that. If you enjoy the video, like. If you want to share it with your social media pages, I'd appreciate that as well. But I'm gonna get back to rigging rods here. I'll have a few rods rigged for spawning fish, but I can tell you this: it's not gonna be like my #1 deal just because we're going during a full moon. But that's me. Maybe the tournament will be won because a huge wave of fish moves up. I just don't think it's gonna happen. You know, I think there will be a spawn for sure, but I don't think it's going to be a 100% spawning tournament. So thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Tune in tomorrow. We got lots more tips coming every day. And like I said, I'm getting back to work here. Thanks for watching.